Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we will be going over the last set of questions for Unit 2, which are questions 19 and 20. Excuse me, questions 18 and 19. Question number 20 will be the writing, which will be covered in the next video. For these two questions, you will need to either have read In Thunder and Rain, Chincoteague Ponies Make Annual Swim, or you can pause the video here to go over and watch Miss Rose read aloud of that same text. So if you have not read it yourself or heard Miss Rowe read it yet, you need to pause here and head over there and watch. Let's go ahead and turn in our packets to page 43 where you will see question number 18. All right, number 18 says, this is another two-part question. Part A of this question says, what is the meaning of the phrase torrential downpour as it is used in paragraph 17 of the article? So of course, you know, the first thing that we need to do is go back to paragraph 17 and read how it's actually being used in that sentence. So let's scroll back up. Paragraph 17 says, we waited 2.5 hours for torrential downpour and a little bit of pony, she said. Once again, that paragraph says, we waited 2.5 hours for torrential downpour and a little bit of pony, she said. So let's go back down and look at our answer choices. So this is a two-word phrase here, torrential and downpour. Now, most of you may not be familiar with the word torrential, but we can look at the word downpour and kind of take a guess at what that may mean. We know down is the direction of something, and pour has to do with, most of the time, a liquid being put into something. So when we think about downpour, we want to think about some kind of liquid like water that may be going down. All right, so let's look at our answer choices to see which one of those is most, that is the closest to that definition. Letter choice A says an event that lasts longer than expected. Answer choice B says a time of day when ocean water is calm and still. Letter C says a heavy rainfall during a storm. And letter D says a chance to see unusual animal behavior. So using our prior knowledge of downpour, we know that we're looking for something that has to do with liquid like water or something that may be falling or going in the down direction. So right off bat, I can see that letter choices A and D don't even mention water. So I can go ahead and eliminate those, which leaves me with letter choices B and C. Letter choice B says a time of day when ocean water is calm and still. If you think back to reading this text, does it ever mention ocean water being calm or still? No, not at all. So that leaves us with letter choice C, a heavy rainfall during a storm, which actually makes perfect sense because that's what this text is mostly about. It's about these horses having to travel in this big storm. So that makes perfect sense. Now let's look at part B so that we can find evidence to support our answer to part A. In part A, we said that a torrential downpour is a heavy rainfall during a storm. So for these answer choices, they give you 4 different paragraphs that you'll need to go back and reread. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to allow you to pause the video here so that you can go back through the text and read these 4 paragraphs. Paragraph 2, paragraph 6, paragraph 13, and paragraph 18. So you'll pause here, go read those 4, and see which paragraph best helps the reader understand the meaning of torrential downpour. So let's take a few minutes to go back and reread. All right, so now that you've had time to pause the video and go reread the 4 paragraphs, you should have selected paragraph 2. So let's take a look at paragraph 2. So paragraph 2 says, thunder boomed and rain soaked the marshland as thousands watched about 130 ponies swim from nearby Assateague Island to Chincoteague Island. Many were forced to watch the ponies cross the channel with water pounding their backs and lightning crashing overhead. So this paragraph best helps the reader understand what torrential downpour means because it describes the thunderstorms as thunder boomed and rain soaked. And we know that torrential downpours are associated with storms, right? So now let's move on to question number 19, part A. So part A says, which statement describes a main idea of the article? So right away, when you see that phrase main idea, you need to grab your pen and write down your question words: who, what, when, where, why, and how. So now's a good time to pause the video, write down those question words so that we can figure out what the main idea of this article is. All right, so now that you've had a chance to write down your question words and answer the most important ones, let's look through our answer choices and see which answer choice best aligns with what we answered in our question words. Letter A says, people had trouble seeing the ponies because more visitors arrived than were expected. Letter B says, severe weather caused concern for the people involved in the event, but the ponies still crossed the channel successfully. Letter C says, the pony swim takes place every year and people come from all over the world to see it. Letter D says, some people choose the yearly pony event as a special trip to take with their families. So we're thinking about what this text was mostly about. Not minor details, but what it was mostly about. So the answer choices I eliminated for the first round would be letters A and D. I said letter A because the says people had trouble seeing the ponies because more visitors arrived than were expected. Although there was a large crowd, it does not mention that that's why people couldn't see the ponies. So that is incorrect. And then letter D, some people choose the yearly pony event as a special trip to take with their families. Although that is true, that is not what the author was mostly talking about in this text. So that leaves us with letter choices B and C. Letter B says severe weather caused concern for the people involved in the event, but the ponies still crossed the channel successfully. Letter C, the pony swim takes place every year and people come from all over the world to see it. And so although this event does happen every year, the main thing that the author was trying to describe was the fact that there was one year in particular that this event happened, but there was a huge thunderstorm that typically doesn't happen. And so that is what the text was mostly about, which would be letter choice B. All right, let's move down to part B of number 19. Which sentence from the article best supports the answer in part A? So part A, we said severe weather caused concern for the people involved in the event, but the pony still crossed the channel successfully. So which sentence from part B best supports that? A, we had no idea whatsoever about this storm, said Denise Bowden, vice president of the Chincoteague Volunteer Fire Department. Letter B, thousands come from across the United States and beyond. C, outside of the weather, it was a perfect swim, she said. And then letter D, Poppy Hendrickson Horsting, 10, convinced her family to fly from Oregon to see the swim. So which of these is a supporting detail of the main idea? Let's take a moment to think. So remember, the author really spent a lot of time describing this thunderstorm and how it had an impact on this annual event. So which of these is a detail that would support that? If you said letter C, you are absolutely correct. Outside of the weather, it was a perfect swim. So once again, we're drawing attention to the fact that the author talked a lot about this thunderstorm that had an impact on this annual event. All right, so that wraps up today's video, guys. Like I said, make sure you head over to Miss Rowe's channel so that you can see her do a read aloud of In Thunder and Rain, Chincoteague Ponies Make Annual Swim. And then I will be back tomorrow to walk you guys through the prompt that goes along with these texts. All right, that's all for today. See you guys later. Make sure you're staying safe.